What's up, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It is July, which means the year is halfway over, so I thought it would be fun to kick off the second half of the year with a mid-year eyeshadow palette ranking video. I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've got 64 eyeshadow palettes sitting right here in front of me, 54 ranking slots though, because some of these will be clumped together as a collection, just like they were in my last eyeshadow palette ranking video. I just figured that was probably the easiest way to do it. But before we jump into this, because we've got a lot to go over, a lot to talk about, let me go over just a couple of disclaimers really quick. So first of all of these palettes that are going to be talking about are ones that came out in 2024. So even if I tried it this year, if it did not come out in 2024, it will not be in this ranking. Secondly, I will have all these palettes listed down below in the description box and have them linked if they are available to do so. And I will have what I am wearing on my face left in a pinned comment. You will see this look go up very, very soon, as well as 4 others. The video is actually going up on Wednesday, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. Hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted as well. Lastly, keep in mind that this video is just for fun. A lot of this comes down to my personal preferences, how I like to do my makeup, and what I look for in an eyeshadow palette. So if your favorite is not my favorite, that's okay. This is just for fun. But let's go ahead and jump into this. Alright, starting at the bottom of the ranking, in 51st place, we have the ColourPop Beauty and the Beast palette. I was so excited about this one. This is one of my absolute favorite Disney movies of all time. The packaging is beautiful. I just feel like ColourPop missed the mark when it comes to the color story. There's just not a whole lot to it. It is a very neutral palette, especially take away the blue, and that's all you have is neutrals. And this blue is not a very good blue. If you watched my video testing out this palette, I had a really hard time with this blue. It patched, it skipped, it grabbed, it had a lot of fallout. It ruined my look so much that I actually had to start over. I didn't cut that out. I did let y'all see that, but I don't know if it's like a batch inconsistency or what it is. I haven't seen a lot of people doing looks with this shade. Other than that, the palette is nice. It just doesn't leave a lot of variety and it kind of misses the mark for me. At number 50, we have the Glamlight X Kiss palette. This is the Rock and Roll All Night Long and Party Everyday palette. That is a very, very long title. But this one is another one that I was super excited about. This one was sneak peeked like the end of last year, like November, December, something like that. And there was a lot of build up to it. It took forever for this collection to come out. And when it did, I thought the color story was beautiful, but I had a really hard time with these greens right here across the board. They just wanted to patch. They didn't want to build up to what I wanted them to. Overall, this is not the Glamlight formula that I know and love. The rest of the shades in this palette work, I can get away with, but the shimmers in here are very lackluster. They're just like a good metallic shimmer. They're not the best that Glamlight has to offer. So I just don't think that this is a great one from the brand. It's not a horrible palette. It's just, it's not the best. They can do better. Alright, at number 49, we have the Profusion Petal Perfect palette. This one came out earlier this year in the spring, and this is a beautiful color story, but let me tell you what, these shades don't build up very deep. So once you put them on the lids, a lot of these colors kind of look the same. There's not a whole lot of depth in here, so it's not a bad formula. Like, it does perform really well. I don't get any patching, skipping, or fallout, but there's just a lot left to be desired with this one. You can't go very deep with it. You're getting a lot of very light, very desaturated looks with this, and the shimmers in here are kind of hit or miss. Some of them are good, some of them are okay, some of them just kind of, you don't really know what they're doing. So it's not bad. I will probably use this one a little bit more than the other two just because there is more variety in it, but at the same time, I think I just wanted a little bit more from this palette. At number 48, we have these two little palettes right here. These come to us from Color Rose, which is a C Beauty brand. This is the Water Ripple series palettes. Now, there are 2 of them. I'm kind of putting these together because they came out together. This is a good formula. I do really like the formula. They perform well. They're very creamy. They go on really easily. They are just not very saturated when it comes to color. They are very light. This is a C Beauty brand, so that's what you're gonna get. I expected it, but I do enjoy them. This just isn't something that is 100% up my alley and to my aesthetic when it comes to makeup. I prefer something a little deeper, a little punchier. You can tell by looking at what I have on my eyes. I like color, I enjoy it, but if you're looking for something that is going to give you a beautiful wash of color with a really good formula, really good quality, and in beautiful packaging, these are really good ones. I do recommend them. At number 47, we have the One Size X Wicked palette. The packaging is spot on, absolutely beautiful. I love the detailing on this. The color story on the inside, if I can not drop it, is very on point. It is very on theme. It goes with the collection, but from a creative standpoint, there's just not a whole lot that you can do with these. You only get 3 mattes on either side, and the mattes are really hard to kind of mix and match because of the tonal difference. So you have cool tones and you have warm tones, and they're not really the cools and warms that go together really well. And it's the same thing with the shimmers in here. There's just not a lot of variety, especially on this side over here. So while the quality is very nice, I do like the formula. It does make me want to try more from One Size in the future. This palette just didn't quite hit the mark. It doesn't inspire me to get creative and create a lot of beautiful looks. But I will say one quick little note. The blushes in here are 2 different shades and they are beautiful. I like the formula in these blushes more than I do in his cheek clappers. They're not quite as pigmented and they do blend out really pretty. So I like this palette. It's just, it's gotta go somewhere, and I like the ones ahead of it a lot more. In 46th place, we have the Terra Moon's Lovers of the Sun little palettes right here that they released. These are 2 little 6-pan palettes. So this is what this one looks like right here. And then the other one has more of like your purple tones in it. So the shimmers in both of these palettes are absolutely beautiful. They are stunning, they are foiled, they are reflective, they look beautiful on the eyes, and I was really excited about these because I love the color stories in here, but the mattes just aren't the best, especially in this palette over here. They're a little bit difficult to work with. This one kind of patches up on me a little bit. I can make it work, but you know, it comes down to quality, and if I can't use everything in it, then that's kind of where it's gonna fall. But these are pretty, they're just not the best as far as like a matte formula goes. Number 45 is the Makeup by Mario, the Master Mattes, the Neutrals palette. So this was his second all matte eyeshadow palette that he released this year. This is supposed to be more of like a cool tone palette. I do think there's a lot of cool tones in here, but I also think there's a lot of like true neutrals in here. It is really nice. These just aren't the tones that I reach for a lot of the time. The formula in here is very nice. So if this is up your alley and this is something you're looking for, I do really like these, but personally, I like his original one better. I like the tones in there better. They're a little bit warmer and I feel like there's more variety in that one. But this one's not a bad one, it's just not my favorite. At number 44, we have another all matte palette. This is the Classic Mattes palette from Skin by Kim. I want to call it KKW, but it's not. This one is a very boring all neutral palette. It is very similar to the original one from Makeup by Mario, but personally, I think the formula in this one is a little bit better. But my big issue with this palette is it is $50, and this is like cheap cardboard packaging. Like there's nothing to be desired from it. It doesn't make me want to write home or anything like that. This is cardboard packaging. It is very plain. I think if it had been stepped up a little bit more to meet its price point, I would think that it would be worth it just a little bit more. So personally, I think she probably should have dropped it down to maybe the $40 mark, maybe even like the $39 mark. But the formula in here is very, very nice. I do think it's a fantastic essential palette, but I'm just not the type of person that reaches for all matte neutral palettes. I do love an all matte palette. I love to mix them with my shimmers and things like that, but this just isn't something that I'm going to reach for a lot. I can't wait to see what else she does with her eyeshadows. She did some beautiful ones when she had KKW, and I'm hoping we get that from the brand as well. Number 43 is going to be the Adept Cosmetics X Amy Loves Makeup palette. First of all, the packaging is stunning. 10 out of 10, absolutely love it. The color story on the inside, when this was first revealed, it was not a favorite. I was kind of like, meh, I'll probably skip out on that one, but when I saw the swatches of the shimmers, that's what did it for me. That is always what does it for me with Adept. That's where they suck me in, and that is why this palette is ranking a little bit higher than these other ones, but not nearly as high as you would think it was from Adept, because the mattes in here just don't perform. Adept doesn't have the best matte formula to begin with, but the mattes in here I found to be very like well, these three shades, first of all look the same on the lid when you put them on. And I had a lot of trouble with this one up here, which is called Mocha. It wanted to patch on me. I couldn't blend it out beautifully, and I had a really hard time. So I'm not going to use the mattes in this palette, but the shimmers in here are absolutely gorgeous. So if you're just interested in the shimmers in this palette, I don't think you'll be disappointed. But if you're really into the mattes, you're into the color story overall as a whole, there might be other options out there that are a little bit better. I do love Amy Loves Makeup. I've been watching her for a while. I love her content. I'm really excited for her, and I will never get rid of this because of that, but the mattes could have been better. 42 is going to go to the CXC Beauty Sweet Dream palette. This is a beautiful palette. I love the color story in here. This one screams summer to me. The quality is fantastic. The mattes are beautiful. They blend out really nicely. They don't feel the creamiest when you swatch them, but they're going on our eyes, not on our fingers. And the shimmers in here are just, they're good metallic shimmers. But this one, there's not a lot of variety to it. There is a lot of color overlap in here. It definitely could have been sized down. You can get a smaller 9-pan version of this palette. So while I do really like the quality and I love the formula and I am really enjoying the brand, I just think that this one could have taken a little bit more variety into account when it was designed, or maybe it should have just been strictly a 9-pan palette. At number 41, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Charmer palette. This one came out in the Valentine's Day mystery box. Was it a mystery box? I can't remember. Maybe it was just a box. This one, it's a good palette. The quality is fantastic. The shimmers in here are fantastic as well, but the color story is what gets me. I did create a look using a lot of the colors in here. I think I used both of these and most of these. But it's a very strange color story. When I look at it, it just kind of makes me want to back off. It doesn't really inspire me a whole lot. It's not my favorite from the brand. The shimmers in here are beautiful. I do like the packaging. I do like the formula. For me, this one comes down to color story, and it's just, it's not the best from the brand. That's really all it comes down to with that one. Number 40 is going to go to the Wander Beauty Trailblazer palette. I did get this in a BoxyCharm, and I had never tried the brand before, but I was pleasantly surprised by the quality and the formula in this palette. It is very boring. It's a neutral palette. We have a couple pops of greens in here, but this is a really good palette. I like the looks that I made. I like the formula and the mattes. The shimmers are very sparkly, so they're not shifty. They're not multi-chromes, duochromes, or holochromes, but they are very sparkly and very reflective on the eye. I think it's beautiful, and if you're looking for a neutral palette at a more affordable price, I don't think this is too crazy expensive. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that. But if you're looking for a really good neutral palette with just like a pop of green and some really pretty shimmers in here, this is a really good one. And I think I actually saw it in the Ipsy like pop-up shop on there. So maybe you can check that out. Number 39 is going to be the Moira Loved by You palette. This is such a good palette. Again, it was the first time ever trying this brand. There's a lot of brands in here I tried for the first time this year, which I love. That was a goal for me. But the mattes in here are really nice. Now, this is not the most affordable palette from the drugstore, but it's also not as high as some of these higher end palettes and indie brand palettes. Everything is getting more expensive across the board, but this is a beautiful palette. I like the tones in here. I like the matte formula, but we only have 2 shimmers in here, so I would have to bring in something else. I do like a matte heavy palette, but I like there to be more than just 2 shimmers in here, because then you're kind of getting the same looks across the board. You don't get a whole lot of variety. So I like the tones, I like the formula, I like the shades that we have. I just wish that we had maybe like 1 or 2 more shimmers in here. Like maybe get rid of this shade right here, put another shimmer. Like, do we really need both of these shades? It's little nitpicky things like that, but this is a ranking and you gotta be picky when you do it. But I am very impressed with the formula. I want to pick up more from the brand. Number 38 is going to be the Get Stoned Stoned palette. So Get Stoned is a brand that does rhinestones primarily, and earlier this year they came out with an all shimmer palette. This is beautiful. Now, these aren't anything that are going to be super shifty, super multi-chrome, duochrome. We do have some holochromes in here. We do have a couple of duochromes, multi-chromes, but these are really nice, especially for the price point on this. The quality is really good. I like the shades in here. You get a little bit of everything. There's a lot of variety. So if you have some of the matte palettes that we talked about, maybe you have some other ones that are really colorful, and you're looking for some really good shimmers that aren't going to break the bank, that are in one little spot that you can bring in to throw in with those, This is a good one. I really enjoy it. I don't have any creasing. I don't get any fallout. The shades last all day and they are beautiful on the lid. They do not emphasize texture. I'm hoping we get to see more as far as eyeshadows go from this brand. Number 37 is going to go to this ginormous palette right here. This is the Blend Bunny X Ellis Atlantis palette. This thing is huge and that's why it's coming in where it's coming. I'm trying to make sure you can see the whole thing. This is fantastic as far as quality goes. It is the amazing Blend Bunny formula that I know and love. The shimmers in here are beautiful, but this palette is overwhelmingly big. It is like a little too much, and I said it whenever I reviewed this palette. I just don't think it was super creative. To me, whenever you're getting into a collaboration with a creator, it's supposed to represent them. It's supposed to give like their personality, their style. And I understand, you know, that Ellis Atlantis is a drag queen. This is the kind of colorful makeup that they're doing. But at the same time, I feel like there just wasn't a whole lot of creativity that went into it. It was like picking one of each shade, throwing in a palette, a bunch of shimmers down the middle, calling it a day. So it is beautiful. I love the quality. But if I'm going to reach for a rainbow palette, I have smaller ones, especially from Blend Bunny. I have the Blends palette. I'm more likely to reach for that one because it's smaller, it's more curated, and it's less overwhelming. But this is a beautiful palette. If you're looking for a huge one with all of these colors in it that you could possibly need, it is a really good one. But like I said, it's just not something that I'm like biting at the bit to pull out and play with. Number 36 is going to go to the Nomad Cosmetics Travel Palettes collection. They came out with one last year and then they came out with 3 more this year. So up first we have the Canadian Rockies palette. This is the green one right here. I just had these in my previous speed reviews video, so you know, I kind of already went over these, but these are pretty. These are not my tones that I normally go for when I go for greens, and this isn't the best formula from the brand. It's not bad, it's just not the best. Then we have the Oslo Garter Moen one. This one has more of your cool tones in it. These are really pretty, but again, these are not the tones that I'm going for. They're not bad. There's actually nothing wrong with these. I didn't have any issues. Again, it comes down to personal preference. And then we had the Abu Dhabi Zayed palette. This one was actually my favorite out of these 3. The original is my absolute favorite, but this one is really pretty. I like the tones in here. I like the shimmers in here. I do feel like we could have had a little bit more depth, maybe traded out one of these shades for something a little bit deeper. So overall, these are really nice. I do like them. I like the idea behind them, but because of the things that I just said, that's why these are going to fall where they are. Coming in at number 5 is the ColourPop Pokemon palette. First of all, cute packaging, love the theme, nailed it, on point. The color story, if I can get this open, is absolutely beautiful. I do really love this. This is the good ColourPop quality that I expect from the brand. I do love that we have pretty much a rainbow palette, but we do have a smattering of neutrals in here. I like that the shades are divided by type. I don't have any issues with any of the colors in here. The blues performed really well. I like the shimmers in here. I've said it before. This shade right here, I believe it's called Gym Leader, yep, is one of my favorites in the palette. I really love this one. If you are looking for a rainbow-esque palette that is a little bit more on the more affordable and more accessible side, this is a beautiful one. I do recommend it. It's just the palettes that are ahead of this, I like a lot more. 34 is the Wicked Widow X The Crow palette. Oh, love it so much. This palette is beautiful. It is very well done. It is perfectly on theme. I love the packaging. I love the shade names. I love that we have the crow embossing in all of the mattes in here. And the shimmers in here are absolutely stunning. We've got holochromes. We've got beautiful metallic shades in here. But for me, this is something that I'm not going to reach for on the daily. This is something that I'm going to reach for if I want a deep, dark, smoky look. So maybe if I'm going to something special, maybe, you know, more in the fall, the winter time when I'm going a little bit more deep and dramatic. I do think this is beautiful, but because I'm not reaching for it all the time, that's why it's falling where it is. There's nothing wrong with the quality. The mattes are beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. I absolutely love this palette and I love the brand. At number 33, we have the Glaminatrix Pretty in Pastels palette. This is a beautiful pastel palette. I love that we have this row of deep shades down here. We have all of these very pastel, kind of mid-tony-ish shades in here, and then we have beautiful shimmers up here. This is a fantastic palette. I love the Glaminatrix quality. I love the formula. I love the shimmers in here, but for me, I don't reach for pastels very often. I do love a pastel look, but it's one of those that I actually gravitate gravitate towards in the spring. There's something about it that makes me want to put a pastel on my eye. So for that reason, that's why it's going here. It has nothing to do with the quality of the palette. I think it's beautiful. I like the color story. I like the variety in here. I like the depth. I'm just not going to reach for it very much. At number 32, we have the ColourPop X Twilight palette. This one made people go crazy. It's sold out multiple times and for good reason. It's a beautiful palette. I love the color story. The quality in here is great. This is very deep, very muted, very grungy, and I love that. We do have a pressed glitter in here. Not my favorite, but ColourPop pressed glitters don't really bother me. They're fine. But this color story is based off of the movies, not the books, which I prefer the books over the movies. I hate this picture up here. It really drives me nuts. But this is a beautiful palette. I absolutely love it. This is like neutrals with a twist. So this is like the neutrals for the colorful lover, or maybe colors for the neutral lover. So beautiful palette. Love the quality. It definitely, you know, it lives up to the hype, and I really do enjoy this one. Number 31 is going to be the Lethal Cosmetics Mellow Grove palette. This is beautiful. I love the packaging. It is so cute. That butterfly and the forest back there. Love it. And the color story on the inside is beautiful, but for me, it's lacking something. I feel like we probably could have done without both of these shades. We could have done without both of these shades. Even kind of both of these shades, we really didn't need both. So I feel like there could have been a little bit more variety in this palette. While the formula is beautiful, it performs beautiful, I do really enjoy it. It's just missing that little something for me. Like, it could have been great instead of good. At number 30, we have the Ladybug Glow X Ice Cream Beauty End of the Rainbow palette. This one came out in the March, I believe, Ice Cream Beauty box. This is such a cute palette. I love the color story in here. It is small, it is curated, it is a lot of fun, it is very on theme. The quality is really nice. I love the Ladybug Glow formula. I really enjoy her palettes. Right now, the brand is on hiatus. We don't know for how long, but this is a really good one. I do really enjoy it. It inspires me. I've created a lot of fun little looks with this. I'm not going to stay on it too long because it is one that you can't get, but this is a really good palette. So when and if Ladybug Glow comes back, make sure you check them out if you haven't already. In number 29th place, we have the Fantasy Cosmetica Wizard palette. First of all, packaging, adorable. Fantasy Cosmetica always kills it with their packaging, and the color story in here is beautiful. I do really enjoy it. The mattes in here aren't my absolute favorite from the brand. I feel like other palettes have better mattes. These aren't bad, they're just not the best that the brand can do, but I do really enjoy the color story in here. I love that we have like this blurple shade right here. We have a blue, we've got yellows, we've got variety. We have like an even amount, almost, not quite, but a pretty good disbursement of mattes and shimmers. This is a beautiful palette, but I'm reaching for the ones ahead of it a little bit more than this one. Coming in at number 28 is the Wicked Widow Lovesick palette. First of all, the packaging is so cute. It looks like a little Valentine you would have handed out in elementary school. But open her up and we have this really cute, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I hold this? Let's flip it. Okay, we have this really cute curated color story. I love the variety in here. I think it is perfect. You can get a lot of different looks out of it. It's not too big. It's not too overwhelming. It is a really well thought out palette. The shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful. They are very reflective. They look beautiful on the eyes. We do have a little bit of iridescent and some shifts in here, and the matte formula from Wicked Widow is absolutely beautiful. So if you're looking for a cute, fun little colorful palette, this is a good one from the brand. Coming in at number 27, we have the Game Beauty Attack on Titan little quads right here. These are so cute, so fun. The color stories are perfectly curated. These are easy for travel. They're quick, easy looks. I absolutely love these, but let's go through them really quick. Up first, we have the Maria palette. This is going to be your blue and brown color story with a pop of yellow. Beautiful, love it, fantastic, great quality. Up next, we have the Senna palette, which is a fall lover's dream into a little quad. I love this one. I'm excited to use it this fall. These are the tones that I gravitate towards, and I really like this. And this matte with the shimmers in here is beautiful on the lid. And then the last one is my favorite one. This is the Rose palette. This one is a beautiful, like, tropical summer palette. I love it. I have really been enjoying playing with it. This is just an easy look. If I want a colorful look without a lot of fuss, this is a good one, but at the same time, you can pop this in the crease, pop this on the lid, out the door, you're good to go. I really enjoy these. I think the quality quality is great, and I'm really excited to try more from the brand. 26 is going to go to the Glam Light X Betty Boop palette. Look at her. She is so, so cute. This is the Boop Oop a Dupe palette, and this is like a red monochromatic palette done right. Like, it's not quite monochromatic. It looks like it, but I think it's because of the red background. But we do have like these really pretty cranberries in here. We do have one beautiful bright pop of red. We have some more warm tone neutrals, a black. This is a fantastic black, and we have all these beautiful shimmers. This is the Good Glam Light formula. This is what I expected in the Kiss palette. The mattes in here perform beautifully. I don't have any issues with patching, skipping, fallout, except for this black right here, but it's a black. I kind of expect that. Go in light-handed because it is very pigmented, but the shimmers in here are so beautiful. They are shifty, they are reflective. They're what I expect from the brand. This is the Good Glam Light quality, and I love this palette. It's beautiful. This one makes me excited for like reds and plums. Number 25 is going to be the Nomad Cosmetics Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette. All of my green lovers out there, this one is for you. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette. If you had your eye on the Monteverde Cloud Forest palette, but you don't like the pops of colors in there and you just want the greens, this one is a really good alternative. You still have all the greens in here. You don't have as many green shimmers in here, which is okay. You don't need a whole lot, but you get your neutrals in here. You do get this pop of blue, which goes really, really well with the greens. I love that we have like the coppers. We've got, where's the shade that I was looking for? This gold up here, absolutely beautiful on the lid. This is a really good palette. The quality is fantastic. The mattes are beautiful. These aren't shifty like multi-chromes, duochromes, or anything like that, but they are very sparkly, very reflective, very smooth on the lid. I really enjoy Nomad. I really enjoy this palette. It's just not one that I'm going to reach for over these other ones ahead of it. At number 24, we have the Adept Cosmetics Flying Fiddles palette. The packaging is stunning. I think this is my favorite packaging the brand has ever done, but the color story on the inside is very neutral, and I love that. We don't get a lot of neutrals from the brand, and this one has that. But the mattes in here are good for Adept. I've said it before, Adept does not have my favorite matte formula. I think it can be a little finicky at times, but these aren't too bad. I can work with them. They do blend out nicely. You just have to work a little bit harder. But again, for me, it's the shimmers that do it with this one. Adept has such a beautiful shimmer formula. I love the variety in here, but I do think that they could have kind of mixed it up just a little bit. These three shades right here are pretty similar, even this one a little bit. So while it is beautiful, I love the variety in here. I just think that there could have been a little bit more variety, and if the mattes in here had been amazing, this one would have been a lot higher than where it is. The number 23 spot is going to go to the Clarity Cosmetics Euphoria palette. This one is beautiful. I love the color story in here. This is my kind of color story. The shimmers in here are gorgeous, especially this one right here. This one is so shifty, reflective, foiled, absolutely beautiful on the lid. But if you pack on too much of it, it can kind of start to emphasize texture. But this one, I feel like it needed a little bit more lightness to the palette. It is very mid-tone, very deep, and that's a little hard for me to work with my fair skin tone, but the formula is beautiful. I just think we probably could have done a little bit more variety with these three mattes over here. So as much as I love this palette, this one's just more of a companion palette for me. But again, the formula is good. Clarity does have other palettes. I have one sitting over here ready to be tested, but this is beautiful. It's just, I need to pull something else in with it. At number 22, we have the Odin's Eye Diversa Series 2 collection. Now this is a part 2 to a Diversa series that they came out with a few years ago. It is in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Quarter, Tina the Fancy Face, and Judy here on YouTube. But let's go through these really quick. I do enjoy the Odin's Eye quality. I like the color stories in here. I think these are beautiful. Up first, we have the Mighty Monster palette. This one is in collaboration with Annette's Makeup Corner. Look at that color story. It is beautiful. These two shades right here are so pretty. I love this shimmer down here called Glow Vortex. It looks so beautiful. It's shifty. It's beautiful. I really enjoy this one. Up next, we have the Spring Dragon. This one was in collaboration with Judy, and this one is a pastel palette from Odin's Eye. I love this. I love that she incorporated this dark brown down here, not a black, but a dark brown. This is very pretty, very spring, something that I am excited to use again next spring, but it's also a great companion palette as well, and you can mix it with the others. And then the last one is my favorite from the collection. This one was in collaboration with Tina the Fancy Face. This is the Earthwood palette. And look at how beautiful and unique that color story is. I absolutely love it. This shade down here called Beauty, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I really like this one as well, but I like how more neutral leaning all of these palettes are, and I like the variety as well. I think they're beautiful. The quality is great. I do really enjoy these. The number 21 spot is going to go to my Glaminatrix quads. These are so good. Right now they're in this little tin, but I did order the little quads that they have from the brand so I can pop them in there, and then they will become like quad palettes. But these are beautiful. First of all, the matte formula in these, it's so good. It blends out on its own, so effortless, like very little work to get them to do what you want to do. The color stories are beautifully curated, and the shimmers in here are so sparkly, so shimmery. They're not a glitter and they're not shifty, but they're absolutely beautiful. They reflect the light so nicely. They just add that perfect sparkle on your eye. And spoiler alert, they came out with 4 more quads. I picked them up. They're on their way. I am so excited about those. All right, so we are down to our top 20 palettes. Now, these were the easiest ones to kind of pick which ones I wanted in my top 20, but they were the hardest to figure out how I wanted to place them in my top 20. This could change at any minute. I have rearranged it several times. I actually just rearranged it again right now. So yeah, these are all good. I recommend all of these. Actually, most of these I really do, but these are the ones that are absolute favorites. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Number 20 is going to be the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. Try not to blind you. This one is boring. I know, it is very boring, but to me, this is exciting because I lusted after that gold palette so bad. So much so that I actually picked up like the dupe version from Alter Ego. Don't come at me if you're against it. I'm not against it because they don't claim that they're coming up with their own color stories. You already know it, and they don't use the same name. They're not trying to sell them off as the same palette. But anyways, I digress. This is beautiful. This is my perfect neutral eyeshadow palette. I love the tones in here. I love this one more than the I Need a Nude. This is a palette that is a staple in my collection. This is one that it's like, if I want a no-brainer look, I don't really care about color, I just want something on my eyes that's going to be flattering, this is what I'm going to reach for. The formula in here is beautiful. Natasha Denona has a beautiful formula. I really enjoy it. I have never had any issues with any of her mattes or her shimmers. Her shimmers do get better the more that she does, and the shimmers in here are beautiful. Now, the shimmers in here may not be as beautiful as the ones in I Need a Nude or even the Yucca palette, but these are still beautiful. I love the tones. I love the variety, and I don't care that it is an all brown palette. I think it's beautiful, and I love it, and this is my number 20 for now. Number 19 is going to go to the CXC Beautiful Nightmare palette. This one is so pretty. It is blue, it is purple, it is a big palette, but we have more variety in this one. There is a little bit of color overlap in here, but not compared to the Sweet Dream palette. But this is beautiful. The quality is beautiful. The color story is beautiful. The matte formula is really nice. I said it before, they don't feel the creamiest on your finger, but they perform so good on the eye. There is a little bit of fallout with some of the darker shades, but it wipes away. It's not going to make a big mess, especially if you powder under your eyes, but I really enjoy this palette. This has become one of my favorite purple eyeshadow palettes. Not my absolute favorite, but this one is beautiful. I really do love it. I like the packaging. I like the theming. I'm really enjoying this one. Number 18 is going to go to the Adept Cosmetics Cyborg Choir palette. This is kind of their take on like a spring pastel palette. We do only have 2 pastel mattes in here, and then we've got these 3 deeper shades in here. Again, this is the better matte formula from Adept. This is very similar to the one that we had in Flying Fiddles. I don't really have a lot of issues with these, but they're not my favorite mattes. More than likely, I am going to bring in something else, but I don't have to. But the shimmers in here are beautiful. They are colorful, they are shifty. We've got holochromes, multichromes, duochromes. mushrooms, all of the things. These are absolutely beautiful. I love this palette. This one is by far my absolute favorite from the brand. At number 17, we had the Unearthly Cosmetics Dreamer palette. Now this is the exception to my only palettes from 2024 rule, because technically this one came out in their holiday 23 box, but nobody got theirs until January unless you got it in PR. So I consider this to be a 2024 release. But first of all, packaging, 10 out of 10, nailed it, beautiful. The color story though, this color story is beautiful. It's different from what we normally see from Unearthly. We normally see more like wild out there color stories, something that's a little bit more creative. Not that this isn't creative, but this is more like on the neutral side for them, but it's still very beautiful. And if you feel a little overwhelmed looking at this, you can break it down into 3 quads and you get absolutely beautiful looks. I love this palette. I love the quality. I really do enjoy Unearthly, and I think this is one of their better color stories as of late. Number 16, the Bella Beauty Bar Dead Roses palette. Just look at that. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. Pink and purple yumminess. The mattes in here are beautiful. Bella Beauty Bar is one of my absolute favorites. It has quickly risen to the top over the last year. These shimmers in here are what set this palette over top. When it was first sneak peeked, I was like, I don't need that. It's a red and purple palette. I have reds, I have purples. It's the shimmers. When they were swatched, it caught me off guard. This one right here, which is called Ew, is so beautiful. I don't know if y'all can see that on camera, that shift that it has. Like, look in the mirror, look at the shifts in that palette. Like, how absolutely beautiful are these? So it may not have the biggest variety as far as mattes go, but it's such a beautiful palette. I've really enjoyed playing with it. This inspires me and I absolutely love it. What more do I need to say? Number 15 is the DD Signature, the Ultimate Cappuccino palette. I love this one. I set it in my eyeshadow palette ranking. I hadn't picked it up. It kind of threw me off a little bit with the color story, but then I realized once I got it and I started playing with it, it really inspires me. I love these shades as like a little pop of color to go with all the neutrals in here. This shade, Pumpkin Spice, absolutely stunning. The shimmers in here are beautiful. They're not textured, they're not flaky. They are just really good shimmers, and the matte formula is absolutely beautiful as well. I really love this palette. This is a fantastic brand and I am excited about that one. At number 14, we have the Lethal Cosmetics Avatar The Last Airbender 9-pan eyeshadow bundle thing that we have going on. These are so good. The quality is amazing. The color stories are amazing. The packaging is so good. I adore these palettes. These are beautiful, but let's go through them really quick. So up first we have the Air palette. This one was my favorite out of all of them. This one just, it inspires me to be creative. I love the shades in here. This one right here is so bright, juicy, and beautiful on the eye. I love the shimmers in here. This one is a little bit more neutral, but it's still workable. And to me, all these palettes kind of go together, but beautiful, love that one. Then we have the Earth palette. Another absolutely beautiful green palette, but I like this one more than the other green palettes that we've already talked about. This one's a little bit more curated. These are more my tones. They're a little more green, or a little more grungy, a little more muted. We do have this bright forest green down here. Not my favorite to put on my lid, but as an accent, I don't mind it. And this shade in the middle, so beautiful, shifty, flippy, absolutely gorgeous on the lid. Then we have the Water palette. This is going to be your monochromatic blue palette. One of my favorite monochromatic blue palettes in my collection now. I absolutely love this one. I love the tones in here. I love that you can do an all blue palette. You can throw that brown in there. And again, this shade in the middle, so gorgeous. It looks like an ocean, and it looks like that on your eye as well. Absolutely gorgeous. And the last one we have is the Fire palette. This one is going to be your more neutral tone with a pop of red in it. I love these 3 shimmers. I love that you can kind of emulate fire on your eyes. Absolutely beautiful, very on theme. Again, across the board, the formula is beautiful. The shimmers are beautiful. I really love these palettes, and it was really hard to put these where I put them, but somebody had to go somewhere. Number 13 is the Lunar Beauty Moonshroom palette. Packaging, 10 out of 10 yet again. The color story in here, This palette makes my grungy heart pitter patter. I love this so, so much. This palette made me fall in love with the brand. Before, the brand was just kind of like, oh, that's a pretty palette. I don't really know. I skipped out on a lot of them, but this one, the minute it was announced, I was like, oh, I need that palette. I need that yellow. I need that periwinkle purple. Absolutely beautiful. The formula is fantastic. The shimmers are fantastic. I really adore this palette. And we do have a duochrome in here. Like, what? Manny's bringing us duochromes. Absolutely beautiful. Love this palette. This has really put Lunar Beauty on the map for me when it comes to eyeshadows. At number 12, we have the Nomad Cosmetics New Zealand Stargazing Palette. Look at that color story. Look at how beautiful. Look at those duochromes in there. Look at the shiftiness. Look at the iridescence. This is beautiful. I love this palette, but I wish we had a little bit more light shades in here. Nomad likes to do that as well as Glamlight. They don't like to give us a whole lot of light shades. And it's really hard for somebody who has very fair skin. Like, we need those lighter shades to blend things out, so I can bring in other things. So for me, this palette needs to have another one brought in with it. This isn't a companion palette. I can create looks on its own if I want to use this to blend it out, but this, even on its own, is still just a smidgen too dark for my fair skin. So beautiful palette. Love the quality. Love the shimmers in here. I think these are my favorite shimmers from the brand. But, you know, you gotta be picky when you're ranking palettes, but this one is beautiful and I do absolutely love it. Number 11, the Ensley Rain Groovy Garden Palette. Again, my grungy fall heart pitter patters. I think this is absolutely beautiful, and I love that we have light to dark. The shimmers in the middle are absolutely beautiful. I wish we had a little bit more variety when it came to the shimmers, like these three right here. I feel like maybe we could have jazzed it up just a little bit, but the quality is beautiful. The mattes are beautiful. I don't have any issues with this palette. They are beautiful on the lid. Some of the shimmers can be a little bit chunkier, like this one down here, but if you're careful, they don't emphasize texture, but I think it's beautiful. I do really enjoy Ensley Rain, and this is a good one from the brand. All right, y'all, top 10, here we go. Let's do this. Coming in at number 10 from Cryptine Cosmetics is the Burnt Forest palette. This is a new indie brand that came out this year. This is their only palette they have so far, and look at how beautiful she is. Very neutral, yes, I know, but the shimmers in here, are you kidding me? With this shimmer up here, the orange, the blue, this duochrome, like, what is that? Can y'all see in that mirror, like, how beautiful that is? This palette is stunning. I was pleasantly surprised with this, really impressed by the quality. I feel like a lot of times when we have a brand new brand, the first palette isn't quite always their best. They're kind of like playing it a little bit safe, and they did with their mattes, but with their shimmers, they went for it. This is a beautiful palette. I absolutely love it. It is magnetic if that's important to you, and the packaging is so, so pretty. Number 9, the Fantasy Cosmetica Cradled in Ice palette. I said earlier that the Wizard palette was not my favorite, like, blue purple color story. That's because this one is my favorite. I love this color story. I love the pinks, the mauves, the blues, the shimmers in here, everything. It's a little bit bigger from the brand. I am a huge dragon fan. I love them. I think they're so fun, so beautiful. I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. The quality is there. These are probably the best mattes that Fantasy Cosmetica has ever done. The blues in here are beautiful. I like the tones of these blues better than the one in the Wizard palette, and it's just a beautiful palette. I really love it. I love the shimmers. I really, really enjoy that one. Probably my absolute favorite from the brand. At number 8, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Spring Magic Palette. Oh my gosh, look at that color story. Oh, it's a dream. It's beautiful. It's like dusty and a little bit muted while still being bright and colorful. So fun. I love that we got something a little bit bigger. The original Fall Magic, the original, not the remastered, the original Fall Magic is my absolute favorite from the brand. I was so excited to see that they were doing a Spring Magic, and it did not disappoint. I love the mattes. I love the shimmers. This shade over here, which is called Sunshine, is so beautiful. It's like this peach to pink to almost lavender shift. It's absolutely gorgeous. Love this palette so, so much. Number 7 is going to go to the Titanium Fox's Poppy Quiet palette. I have ranted and raved about this one and its counterpart. I really enjoyed it. This is a beautiful color story. It's actually very similar to the Spring Magic, but it's got that depth to it. It's got a little bit more variety with the shimmers in here. Both beautiful. This one's just a little bit more up my alley and it inspires me a little bit more. I really do love the quality in here. I love the mattes. I love the shimmers. These 3 shades over here are so fun and so beautiful depending on what matte you put them on over or next to. Absolutely gorgeous. Love, love, love that palette. Number 6, y'all, we have the Bella Beauty Bar X Deandra Nicole Ultra Violet palette. You're probably surprised this isn't higher than it is, but in its defense, it is a monochromatic purple palette, and as much as I absolutely love this, like this is the perfect purple palette in my eyes. It has the perfect variety. You got warm tones, you got cool tones. There is no color overlap in here. The variety is beautiful, but at the end of the day, it is a monochromatic palette, so you're gonna get nothing but purple looks when you play with this, but it's beautiful. I absolutely love this. This is my 100% absolute favorite purple eyeshadow palette in my collection. It's beautiful. And this shade up here that kind of has like this purple to green flip to it is absolutely stunning and like the perfect little pop of color that this palette needed. All right, y'all, we are down to the top 5 palettes. These have been rearranged multiple times and they could be rearranged again between now and the end of the year when I do my final eyeshadow palette ranking video for this year. But as of this moment, as of my mood right now, this is where these stand. So coming in at number 5 is the Bella Beauty Bar Secret Garden palette. This is gorgeous. This is everything that I want in like a garden themed palette. It is pink, it is green, but we have these pops of neutrals up here and they are more like on the warm leaning. Like this one, play your cards right, it can definitely look a little bit more on like the pinky mauvey purpley side, but the shimmers in here are so, so beautiful. Look at that one right there. Look at that shift from like a green to a gold. Absolutely beautiful. I love the variety in here. I love the tones. I love that there's not any color overlap, and this is a big palette. This one is beautiful. If you like pinks and greens and you love Bella Beauty Bar, or maybe you've never tried the brand before but you love pinks and greens, I highly, highly, highly recommend this one. It is one of my favorites from the brand. At number 4, from Divaroon Cosmetics, the Gloomy Garden palette. Look at this color story. This is so unique to me. These shades right here, we don't see a lot of those tones when it comes to oranges. It's usually either like more like a dark grungy orange or maybe even a more neon orange, but there's something about these shades that are absolutely beautiful. The mattes in here are really, really good. I love that we've got grunge, we've got brightness. The theme matches the packaging 100%. And the shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful. This is the first time I ever tried this brand, and this got me excited for what else is to come. But I love this palette, absolutely beautiful. All right, y'all, number 3 is going to the Gourmand Girls X Steph's Beauty Stash Nueva Vida palette. I told y'all when I tried this one out that it was going to be a favorite palette of the year. This one ranked really, really high. I think this is beautiful. I love how bright it is. These 2 shades right here are so bright, neon, beautiful. Like the camera is not even doing it justice. It's washing them out, but this is a beautiful palette. I love the tones in here. I love the variety in here. This is a very Steph's Beauty Stash palette. If you watch her here on YouTube, you already know. I love the meanings behind the names. I love the color story. I love the quality. I really do enjoy Gourmand Girls, and this is just such a good palette, y'all. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful palette. All right, we have 2 palettes left. These 2 were really hard, like really, really hard. I know I've said that about the top 20, but these 2 were the hardest. So at number 2 is my Jolie Beauty Till Death palette. Are we surprised? No, maybe you thought this would be number 1, but number 1 is number 1 for a good reason. But this palette is so, so beautiful. I love this. this is a beautiful neutral palette with a little bit of a pop to it. You've got your mauves, your greens, your grays, your browns, all of the things that you could want in here. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful. You do have this really pretty like multi-chrome. It's like a green to purple right here. Absolutely gorgeous, and I love that we didn't get any pressed glitters in this palette. It is a little bit on the bigger side, so maybe not travel friendly, but the formula in here is so good. The satins are beautiful, the mattes are beautiful. I adore this palette. This is my favorite from Jolie Beauty. It's only the second one that I have, but even looking at the other ones, this one is still my favorite. And if you're looking for a really good neutral palette with a twist, I 100% recommend this one all day, every day. All right, y'all, so we are down to our number one palette. If you've been following along with all of my eyeshadow palette rankings, I'm sure you know what it is, but before I reveal it, I do want to let y'all know that I do have content up on my channel with all of these palettes, whether it's a dedicated video, a reel, a get ready with me, whatever it is, there is content, there is swatches, all of that. So if you're interested in more, you can absolutely surf through all of my videos on my channel and find what you're looking for. But let's go ahead and reveal number one. So number one palette of 2024 so far is going to be the Ensley Rain Cosmic Dreamer palette. This is so beautiful, absolutely stunning. Took my breath away with the color story, the shimmers, the packaging, everything about it. I love the variety in here. I love that we've got dark and grungy, we've got bright and poppy, we've got really light shades, we've got really deep shades. The variety in here is so good. The quality is so good. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful. And as far as Ensley Rain goes, this is one of their more affordable brands, and that's probably because it's not completely saturated with multi-chromes and duochromes. You do have a couple of just really pretty like shimmer shades in here. You do have some that are a little bit shifty, but I like that it kind of drives the price point down a little bit. But this is a beautiful palette. I think they hit the nail on the head when they did with it. I love this one. It is beautiful, and it's my favorite of 2024 so far. All right, y'all, so that is going to complete this video. All 64 of the palettes that I have tried so far this year ranked for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was helpful. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Do you have any of these palettes or any of these on your wish list? What is your number one favorite palette from 2024 thus far? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let's light it up, have that conversation. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.